everyone. Sorry I'm a little bit loud on the mic, so my apologies ahead of time. I want to introduce myself. My name is Anthony Ali, or Tony Ali. I've been doing fire prevention for over 20 years. I'm licensed to do fire prevention. I'm licensed to do fire investigation CSI work. And I'm also licensed to do teaching the courses and developing courses for new developments and structure and procedures that are coming in place from the Ontario Fire Code. I'm going to start off with what everybody's concerned about, and that is the fire in your building. There was a brochure that was handed out to everyone. I hope all of you have a copy of the brochure. It tells you basically the procedures in case of a fire, what to do. And there was another brochure that was issued to you, a handout for fire extinguishers. First topic I'm going to talk to you about is fire extinguishers. Even though you've got the brochure, and even though, you know what, they are readily available in your fire hose cabinets in your building, using a fire extinguisher comes with practice, and it comes with knowledge. I don't recommend that you do use a fire extinguisher if you're not familiar with using a fire extinguisher. There are courses that we can offer, and there's courses that you can take. And basically, it's a very simple course, but it is a virtual course. We usually, back in the days, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I'd bring out a pan, I would light the pan on fire, and we'd actually extinguish the fire with fire extinguishers. We don't do that anymore because of liability. We're all aware of liability these days. So we do set up a virtual class. Again, I don't strongly recommend that you use a fire extinguisher unless you're familiar with it and you're comfortable with the use of fire extinguishers. You do have fire extinguishers in your building in all your fire hose cabinets located at each exit of your stairwells. So there's a hose cabinet there. In that hose cabinet, the fire extinguishers are in there. The hose is in there for the fire department use. Please don't try to use those hoses in case of a fire. Don't get brave. Those hoses come out with 100 pounds of pressure once you open them up. So I'm sure a lot of us will have a hard time holding those hoses back. So they're there for fire department, and they're not for our use. The hoses cabinet usually says to be used by trained individuals. Okay? In case of a fire, is there anyone that has a question before we get into that topic? Because I like to get the feedback first to hear what you have concerns about before I give you the answers. Is there anybody that has a question or a concern when it comes to having a fire in your building? Okay, I'm going to go with the brochure. You hear the alarm in your building, what's the first thing you do? We've changed security to dial 911. You should do the same. You should do the same because we don't rely on other people or anyone else in case of emergency. You rely on yourself. So if you hear the fire alarm, you should dial 911. Announcements will be made during the alarm. Your concierge, your security will advise you of where the alarm is, and the fire department is in dispatch and they're on their way. At that point, once the fire department arrives, they will pretty much take over the site and they'll investigate the fire. Once they've investigated the fire and they found that it's a non-emergency, the security or concierge or fire department will make an announcement and advise you. I had this question posed to me last week in a similar resident night, and they said, well, can the concierge be a little bit more specific and say, we have a fire on the 7th floor. For those of you who want to live on the 5th floor or the 8th floor, the resident wanted to be informed of what floor the fire was on. That's fine. Concierge can inform you on that. When the alarm goes off, they can tell you we have a fire emergency on the 6th floor. Those of you on the 5th or the 4th or the 8th or the 9th that may have concerns, I'll address those concerns now as we go on. So when the alarm goes off, concierge will make your announcement. From your announcement, their fire department will arrive. Once the fire department arrives, they'll investigate the fire. Once they investigate the fire, they'll decipher if it's a non-emergency or an emergency, and at that point they'll give you instructions, because the instructions from the announcements will say, fire department's been dispatched, please wait for further instructions. Here's the million-dollar question. Once that happens, everybody wants to know, should I leave, should I stay? That's the million-dollar question. Should I leave, should I stay? In the brochure it says you should leave.
Now, my experience, I just dealt with a fire, I'm just coming from a fire, actually, today, downtown Toronto. Gentleman walked by the garbage bin, on Spadina in front, decided to bud his cigarette out and slip it into the garbage bin. Well, that didn't go very well, because last time we had about 6 trucks and a huge, loading dock fire, which created a huge problem for the corporation, the residents, and everybody, and we've been tied up there for the last 24 hours trying to get everything figured out. Question is, do you leave or do you stay? My opinion, it's a personal preference. It's what you feel comfortable of doing. But you have a 60-second window. That's what you have. During a fire, you have a 60-second window to evacuate. My personal opinion, I leave. Some may choose not to. Some residents and some people have disabilities where they can't leave, and that's more than understandable. In your fire safety plan at your security desk, management is implemented, and security has a list of all the residents that require special services. Maybe they'll require assistance to leave. The fire department, when they arrive on site, will review that list and address those residents. If you choose to leave, the first thing you should do is go to your door. Brochure stipulates it. Feel the door. If it's hot, open the door briefly and see. If not, leave the door closed. If you see smoke, and you open that door briefly and there's smoke, look down the hallway. You have a clear path to make it to the stairwell. If you don't, close your door. Once you close your door and if there's smoke in your corridor, the 2 things prevent smoke from entering your suite. One, and this is one of the biggest things we have, is your door closers. All of you in your apartments in your suites have door closers. Please don't adjust them. Don't prop those doors open. For whatever reason, always make sure that when you release the door closes behind you. Not that you have to push it closed, but it is automatically closed right behind you and click. So the door is locked. You have a 45-minute barrier. That door that you have on your front door is your 45-minute fire barrier. That's the fire rating line. 45 minutes is usually standard. So that is your fire separation from whatever's happening in your suite to the other side in the hallway. So make sure that your door closures are working. When we do your annual inspections, I think we recently did it, we did check door closures, and you know what, the suites, fire department is big on this, they'll come by and then they do their walkthrough, they check door closures. So make sure that your door closures are closing. Once you've done that, you can now do 2 things. If you're deciding to stay in your suite, there's 2 things you can do. A lot of people don't have it, but get a roll of duct tape and leave it for emergency. Duct tape and a flashlight should always be in your suite, readily at hand for in case emergencies happen. Most buildings have backup generators, but still it's good to have because you don't know what can happen. An emergency doesn't always necessarily mean there's a fire. There could be a gas leak, there could be an explosion, there could be multiple things. There could be a flood, and you know what? We had an incident downtown where the generator room got flooded. So the generator wasn't going to kick on because it got flooded. So always be prepared. Have a flashlight, have you know those, the glow sticks that we use at the rave concerts we all used to go to? Get a couple of those from the dollar store and keep them in your suite as well. Once you break them, they'll give you a good 6 hours of light. In fact, that works great when you do it in stairwells. Because if you do make it to the stairwell, bring your glow stick with you. And a normal practice is you break your glow stick and you throw it. As you throw it down so you can see a clear path on the stairwell when you're going down. That's something we practice when we've done training with Bessie, which is our firefighting academy up here in Ontario by the airport. So think about those glow sticks. They're not just good for race, they're good for safety. The other thing I want to tell you, you're going to make a clear path. Now, in your suite, when we do your annual inspections, we walk through your suite, we test your smokes, we test your heat. I know a lot of people have questions about what this is. This is a heat detector in your suite. These don't make sound. They don't beep. I've had somebody beat it with a baseball bat one time because they thought that's the way it's going to keep it quiet. They don't beep. They make no sound. These heat detectors are in your lobbies, in your foyers. When you open your front door, they're right there. These go directly to the fire panel. So if there's a change of temperature in your heat, that's why they call it a heat detector. they're set at a standard rate of 135 degrees. Soon as it senses a change of heat, a drastic sense, not something light, it has to be a drastic sense of change of temperature, that heat detector will notify the fire panel, which in turn will notify the entire building that there's an alarm on that floor. So those heat detectors are directly straight to the fire panel. They don't beep, they don't make any sounds. These do beep. These are your smoke alarms in your suite. Now a lot of people ask questions about these, the smoke alarms. They are not tied into the fire panel. They're really only designed for your suite. So they will announce in your suite. Neighbors will hear it because they do have a loud chirping sound. So neighbors will hear the chirping sometimes. But those are designed specifically just for the suites. The heat detectors are designed for the building. And you also have horns and other speakers in your suite that provide tones. So that being said, we'll go back to the procedure. Once you recognize that now you've had an alarm and you're deciding to stay, you put duct tape around your door. And I'm going to get back to the door thing because there's another thing I want to discuss with you regarding doors. You put duct tape around your door and you put a wet towel at the bottom of your door so the smoke cannot come in. If the smoke is coming in, then you can, if you have a balcony, or make yourself to the safest room where you see there's no smoke that's going to enter. Okay? Now, why did I mention doors again? Because when you stand by your door, you feel a flow of air. Most people do. Because the stairwell is always pressurized. Folks, I can't stress enough to you that please do not install weather stripping around your doors. It is actually a compliance issue. Building department does not want weather stripping around the doors. Remember I mentioned that's your fire barrier. Once you modify those doors and you put that weather stripping, what it's designed to do, it won't be able to do. Give me 1 second. So this is the reason why I pose this question, because I've had it brought to us in different situations about weather stripping, because residents are saying, well, I can see light outside, I feel the air coming in. If that's a situation that you're encountering, let management know. Maybe something to do with your door closers. But do not install weather stripping around your doors because it's not compliant for us. You had a question back there.
You answered it.
I'm sorry?
You answered it.
I answered it? Perfect. So, that being said, you duct tape yourself in and you put the wet towel underneath. Do not lock your doors though. Why? It says it in the brochure, do not lock your doors. Because if the fire department has to come and get you, you don't want them breaking down your door. So leave your door unlocked, put your duct tape, put your wet towel, and wait within your suite. Now, if you decide to wait in your suite, my suggestion to you is dial 911. Don't call concierge, don't call security, call 911. And the reason why I'm telling you that, and it's stipulated in the brochure, is that 911 is designed to handle hundreds of calls. If you call security, they're not going to answer the phone because we've instructed them not to pick up the phone. You might get frustrated, but the reason why, security is going to have their hands full with the fire department, and they need to give access to everything, because if they don't, fire department comes with one key and they'll use it to get into every single door, and I've seen it. I had a resident take too long to open up his suite door. Fire department was an emergency, had smoke in the suite, smashed the door and walked in. So, this is why we're not going to call the security in an emergency. We're going to call 911. We're going to advise them, I'm in this building, we have the alarms going, I'm in this suite, at this address, this is my name. The more of you call, it's important for them. They will dispatch to the trucks that are on site, and they will know who you are right away. Because obviously they'll be here to address the call. Okay? So, that being said, once the emergency is over, when you come down those stairs, if you're evacuating, guys, I'm going to tell you this, because these are things that I go through personally. And I'm telling you these things because I deal with a lot of condos. And you need to know when you leave your building and you walk down the stairs, we don't take elevators during the fire. This is why it's important that if you do require service or special attention, call 911, leave yourself in the street, put the towel, duct tape the door, and wait. They will come and get you. Yes, ma'am.
Just a question, before I forget. What if you're in the elevator and the alarms go off? What happens to the,
I'll answer to that right now. If you are in the elevators and you're for whatever reason the alarm happens at the time you're in the elevators are designed to ground. So all of the elevators will automatically come down to the ground floor, and you will have an opportunity to walk up to the lobby. Now, if you get trapped in the elevator, the firefighters will know and they'll address that. So, as much as I can tell you not to panic, try to take it easy, try to relax, but I can tell you, fire department will know what the elevators are because we have in your CFCA room, your fire panic room, what the elevators are running and where they are, where they're located. So fire department will have control of that and they'll address that. But automatically in a fire, your mag locks will open up, they're released. So all the emergency exit will open up and your elevators will come to the ground. Your fans will kick on, your exhaust fans, to bring the smoke out. Okay, that's an automatic from your fire panic. And I lost my train of thought. So, we don't take the elevators to go down the stairs. Now, when you get down the stairs, ladies and gentlemen, please, whatever you do not huddle in the lobby. Please exit the building, and I've stressed this to security to address this to you guys, exit the building safely, in an orderly fashion. Remember when we were in preschool, we all had to follow that straight line? Try to follow the same kind of rules. Because we don't want to have anybody get hurt. We don't want to have anybody get injured during an emergency. We already have a lot going on. So, when you, in this building specifically, and your neighboring building, if you have an alarm in your building, does anybody know where they have to go? Anybody willing to tell me where they have to go? Don't tell me where to go, but tell me where to happen.
I'm sorry.
You will be exiting the building. You'll be, you know the roundabout? You'll be closest to the entrance of that roundabout. And that's safest for you because I'll tell you why. If there's an explosion, if there's a gas leak, you don't want to be in the vicinity of the building. You want to be away from the building. So that would be your safest bet to be. Okay? We're familiar with that area, right? Okay. So now, that being said,
Tony,
yes.
alternatively, you guys can walk over to 20 Brook. If there's a true emergency, we'll inform them where people are being evacuated, and can they please go into your lobby?
Your stairwell will take you down to P1. There are exits, emergency exits located in P1 for you to exit out the building. Okay? So, if whatever stairwell you choose, take it down till it exit out. They all lead to an exit door. In an emergency, you follow the exit signs. They're going to be lit. So wherever you see the exit signs, know that that's an emergency exit for you to evacuate. So, because that point's been brought up, we do fire drill training here. You know, we posted them. I strongly recommend, I know it's an inconvenience, but get involved in the training. We do it for a reason. We do your fire drill quarterly for a reason. Because in case of emergency, you would know how to respond. And that's why the fire department compliance wants us to do a quarterly fire drill where it's set up like an actual fire where the elevators are grounded, the fans are going on, and people are evacuating. So I'm strongly recommending, because we do them, please get involved when management posts the notice to do your quarterly fire drill. I'm the guy making your announcements on your paging system, and I'm letting you know that if you want to participate, please exit through the nearest emergency exits on your floor. This will allow you to kind of rehearse and be comfortable that in case of an emergency, you'll know how to respond. Okay? Any questions on an emergency? Any concerns? Yes, sir.
Just a question. You have to be coming down in your car, or you're just leaving in your car. So you're at your car, in your car, about to go. What should you do?
I'm going to explain to you what happens. If you're coming into the garage, I'm going to give you two scenarios. If you're driving into the garage, and the alarms are going in the building, that garage door is shut. It's closed. It will not allow you into the parking garage.
And there's a big red sign,
Yeah.
fire, do not enter.
So the door will automatically close it's designed to do that. It'll close that door so nobody can enter the building in the underground parking. If you happen to be in the underground parking and that door is closed, there's many exits throughout the garage where you can exit through. And I believe, if I'm correct, not too far from your roll-up door, there's a man door. So you can exit through the man door. Park your car and exit through the man door. Leave your car there and make your way out to safety. Okay? But like I said, the fire drills helps everybody become more comfortable with addressing things. First of all, if there is a loss of life, a lot of people are complaining about cooking and their toasts and burning and their smoke alarms going off. Guys, I have to stress, no matter what you're doing, even if you're boiling water, turn on your vents in your kitchen. Even if you're baking, turn on the vents. Make sure that your vents, the filter in the vents are clean. Take them out, they slide out, put them in the dishwasher, have them cleaned, or go to Home Depot, pick up a new one, bring the old one with you so they know what size it is. And please keep those vent screens clean, because they do get built up of oil and grease and all the other good stuff. But if you do this as a normal practice, it helps the flow of air, and it also helps the residents beside you, so you're not smelling where you're cooking. And dryer vents. Make sure you clean out the lint vents in the dryers. Make sure those lint vents are kept clean. You know how much you do your laundry, just make it as a normal practice to keep those dryer vents clean, okay? Because they do cause, dryer fires are one of the fires that we do deal with.
So in this building, you have two, you have one in your machine, and then you have one either in the ceiling or on your wall. The ceiling and the wall should be emptied out every 2 or 3 loads, depending on how often you do your dryer. The one in your machine is recommended every time you do the machine.